Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and this is the review of the adult animated science fiction action horror anthology film, Predator Killer of Killers, which is currently on Hulu for all of your viewing enjoyment. Yes, Predator. This is the sixth Predator film in the franchise, eighth if you want to count Alien versus Predator, which I do not, but that's neither here nor there. And this is the first of two Predator films that we're receiving in 2025, with Predator Badlands coming out later this year, but that's live action. This is animated, and both are directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who previously directed Prey, which was, I would say, one of the best Predator films. And that's, we're not really swinging for the fences there by making that statement, because outside of the first Predator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and all of that male testosterone on screen, which one of the sequels would you consider on the level of that? None of them, and I'm not trying to compare them all like, oh, you should be like this. No, they all should be different, and they were different. They were different takes on the Predator lore, but nothing got close to it. At least get close to the original. None of them have, except for Prey. Prey was so well made and such a simple story, I guess you could say, yet big in scope, big in storytelling, and using the indigenous people as the ones being hunted here. I thought that was genius. I thought it was a good way to get back into this franchise that has suffered in the past decade or two. So putting this franchise in the hands of Dan Trachtenberg was kind of curious, but hey, so far so good. Dan Trachtenberg, prior to directing Prey, the only other film he directed was 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was really good. I really enjoyed 10 Cloverfield Lane, but making a leap into the Predator franchise is, pretty curious. Yeah, that's a big jump, and he did an excellent job with Prey. Now with Predator Killer of Killers, which is an animated film that he secretly made while making Prey. He was working on this along with Badlands, and we're getting these surprise Predator films out of the mind of Dan Trachtenberg, and I am so impressed by him. If you can't tell already, I loved Predator. Predator. Well, I did love Predator, but I love Predator Killer of Killers. This was probably the best Predator film since the original. This was even better than Prey, in my humble opinion, for the simple fact we got deeper into the Predator lore. Even though the Predators aren't the characters who we are following, they find a genius way to expand on Predator's mythology. And I was all in on that, because when the film first started off, you kind of wondering where we're going with this. Like I mentioned before, this is an anthology film. And so you have three different stories. You have story one, which is The Shield, which tells the story during the Viking era of Scandinavia. Then you have story two, The Sword, which tells the story in Japan, feudal Japan. And then you have story three, which is The Bullet, and that's taking place during World War II. And so you're like, okay, that's cool. We're just going to get these three different stories. But they found a way to link them together, and link them together in a, dare I say, believable way and entertaining way. And it made everybody else's story, once they got together, everybody else's story that more poignant. This was well constructed, man. I mean, super good. an animated film is good when you forget that you're watching an animated film. It feels like you're watching a a live action adaptation, and that's what it felt like while watching this. The predators were brutal. it they didn't hold anything back here, people. It was no, oh, it's animated, so we're gonna keep it Pixar really. No, no, no. This was brutal. Those predators were nothing to mess with, man. And all three stories. I mean, well, four technically. All the story, every different predator that we saw was a beast, no pun intended, in their own right. Man, it was cool. And the people, the antagonists of each story, were beasts in their own right, as far as human beings are concerned. I think the voice acting was excellent. They picked some really good actors here. No names. Nobody that's like, oh man, Arnold Schwarzenegger voiced this. No, it was none of that. It was These were real good voice actors. The only name that I took note of was Michael Biehn as one of the voices in the third story, I believe. Other than that, I'm not familiar with anybody else in this cast, but they all did great, man. They all did great. And when we got to the final story that culminated all the other stories, I thought that was so good. At first, I was kind of like, this is cheesy the way they set that up. It kind of felt that way the way it all came together. But once the story played out, it all made sense. And I was like, oh man, this is genius. This is really good. I like that. And I like how they incorporated certain things, non-spoiler, of course, certain things to whereas we have these characters from different eras in their different parts of the world, different languages, and found a way to communicate with one another along with the predators. And I thought that was very smart in this story. I did have a flaw or two, and it's not big. It's really a nitpick. As much as I enjoyed the stories, the first one was excellent. The second one was excellent. The third one was very entertaining, but there were elements of the third story, the Bullet, the one that took place during World War II, that I just could not believe. And I know you're suspending disbelief here, but it's like that don't make any sense logically. It was some things that took place in that story that that's impossible. And the reason I feel that way because the other two stories kind of stuck, were grounded. They weren't far-fetched things that happened. It was a couple, but nothing out of the realm of possibility, as opposed to the third film. I mean, a third short film, I should say. But that being said, I am talking about a film that consists of an alien that comes down and hunts people, comes down from outer space and hunts people and all this other good stuff. So trust me, I get it. I know I sound silly, but that just in my mind, I was like, it's kind of weird the way that played out. But either way, it didn't take away from it. I was still entertained by what was going on, so I didn't feel no type of weight. So at the end of the day, I deeply enjoyed Predator Killer of Killers, and it got me super excited for Predator Badlands coming out later this year, because that film is going to be from the perspective of the Predator. And so the Predator in that film is going to be the protagonist, I guess. And once again, another way to reinvent this franchise, do something different. And they're doing everything right by doing that. It's not the same old tropes over and over again. Predator comes down from space and hunt down mercenaries in the forest. No, it's deeper than that. And we're diving deeper in it. And this film did that in spades by going in 3 different eras of time in human history where predators encountered human beings. Great job by Dan Trachtenberg and 20th Century Studios, who, I mean, I feel so good. I feel good and encouraged because over the last couple of years, starting with Prey, and we got Alien Romulus, which was great, and now you have this, and I feel good about these franchises because I was a huge fan, and still is. I shouldn't say was. I'm a huge fan of these two properties, and I'm only linking them together because eventually they had got linked together. And if you watch the trailer for Predator Badlands, they're linked together again. It was a quick little thing that if you was paying attention, these two franchises are once again linked together. But I'm a huge fan of them, and I like everybody else. The last few films, over the course of the last 20 years, I would say, have not delivered. Man, these franchises they've been the law of diminishing returns. Man, it's been disappointing because it's such a interesting franchise, both of them. And so it's a real good feeling to see that they're both on the upward trend. Predator Killer of Killers gets a letter grade of an A. Yes, excellent film. I can't wait to watch it again. I'm gonna watch it again once I finish. Once I finish recording, I'm going to watch it again. It was that good. If you haven't checked it out yet, you can catch it right now on Hulu, and let me know your thoughts. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this review of Predator Killer of Killers. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.